Let's bring in our good buddy Steve Young. Steve, I was in lockstep with you. I didn't think that the Broncos were going to win this game. Now, you did say the only way you saw it happening was if the defense had an unbelievable outing. I guess they did, but I never thought that Cam Newton could be neutralized to that extent. Did you, Steve?
Cam, you could see, came out firing high. The moment was big, and Super Bowls do that. And he was my first initial read of Cam was he was overwrought. Right? It was like, wow. And
really
then Von Miller came, and kind of another thing that happened is he didn't even look like he knew Von was even in the area. So that told me that he was, your mind gets going fast and you're not settled in, and it takes a little bit sometimes in big games like that to settle in. And so he kind of got hit, and Von basically just took the ball from him. It's kind of a strange thing. And then they end up scoring, so now they're 10-0. Now, they didn't right themselves to get that score to make it 10-7. So, it's like, okay, now we got a game. Now we've been settled in. Big mistakes are over. But I never got the sense that Cam got back on track. Every time he dropped back, the times I'd watched him in the past few weeks, he was in there with a purpose. And I just felt like when I saw him drop back, he didn't have a purpose. There was just – and he was getting mauled. There's no question there was a lot of heat. And then I thought the coaching didn't really help him because, Cam's – obviously not making it happen right now in the pocket. Let's just get him out. That's the luxury you have. Let's just go. And that never really happened either. So I never think he ever got back on track. So I would, you asked me if I'm surprised by that. Very surprised that they didn't, because Cam's one of the guys that has this mobility that you can de-risk things. You're not stuck just getting mauled by Von Miller. So in my mind, if you don't want Von Miller to be the MVP, you can just move around, get away from him, do something else. But it just seemed like they didn't want to. They wanted to drop back, maybe a little play action and drop deep and just let it rip, and it never did work out. And I thought that was a big mistake. So, I was surprised by Cam. Peyton, my gosh. I thought at the end of the game he finally said, look, I'm not even going to throw it. I'm done.
Right.
I am. The horse is in the barn, boys. Good luck to you. Good luck to everybody.
That's right. That's why with the conversation you had with Dion, Dion was picking Denver under the premise that Peyton had one more great moment in him. And he didn't.
No, I knew that.
He didn't.
He did not. He did not, and I think everybody should have known that. It was obvious to me. And it was obvious to me mid-game when he threw the picks, because the way one thing about Peyton, he's really alert and aware of the surroundings and situation. And so he knew that he was limited, and so he wanted to try to do everything he could to be supportive and useful. And when he threw the pick, I could tell that he was thinking, I can't get in the way. Look, I might not be able to do much, but I can't get in the way.
Right.
And so I think that's when it really kind of derailed any effort. He had to really kind of press the envelope a little bit. But I really felt he did a masterful job. Whenever he was carrying all the water, he carried a ton of water in his career. Come on, maybe more than anybody, right? And every time he talked about a team, it's a team game. We all need to be in it. And he taught the lesson to everybody that it is really about everybody else. But he was carrying all the water. Now he couldn't carry nearly as much water. You can even say very little. I think he was more than anybody ready to accept, and then should be ready to accept the idea that this is a team game and I'm on the other side of it, and really relish it. I felt he was a little. I could tell after the game when we were in interviews, he's like, "Oh, geez, I didn't do much." But in some ways, he did a ton because everybody rallied in a way to make sure that this got done, and he got the effects of what the ultimate team game is on the other side of it, which I thought was kind of poignant and poetic.
Hall of Famer Steve Young is with us, his weekly segment on the Michael Kay Show. Steve, I thought a big play was the first challenge by Ron Rivera on the Cotchery catch, which I keep looking at it, and I keep going, that's a catch.
It's a catch. But what happened is when you called incomplete, now it's got to be, the standard.
But didn't you find that conclusive, that replay?
I did. I was a catch. He had his arm under the ball. The arm was under the ball. Now, you could say the tip of the ball might have hit the ground, but the fundamental fact is that the hand was under the ball. And so it's one of those things where I'm sure the official said, well, the tip of the ball might have hit the ground, but it was controlled. So it doesn't matter. It's about control. And so it's just one of those things that because it's digital perfection, to overturn it, it has to be perfected. And it's like you get lost in the perfection of it all rather than like, hey, look, take a look at it. What do you think? My instinct is as a catch. It's a catch, which was unfortunate.
Now, Cam not falling on that final fumble, Steve, is there any other reason other than frustration and just giving up?
I got to put it in my head. I can't. I'm trying to think of something else. Something else that might, because he went to go for it, which is the instinct, right? And you played long enough. This is the game. Getting on that ball is the game. We don't get on that ball, game over. Doesn't matter how you want to look at it. 2 scores down with a couple minutes, it's over. And so getting on that ball has to be life or death. And I'm trying to figure out what the instinct is that it doesn't come off that way. And I don't, it could, you got to figure if he banged his arm and because your instinct is like, my arm is killing me. I can't dive in there and get it. That's the only possible scenario for why you'd back away.